Hello, everyone. Welcome to Credential Up Houston. My name is Margaret Fort Fisher. Our focus today is on Goodwill Industries of Houston and how the Houston Community College collaborates with Goodwill Industries to provide support to individuals, families, and communities. There is also a partnership for the training and the employment of veterans, and we'll talk about that. So joining us in the conversation today are Mr. Jarios M. Courtney, Career Navigator of Operation Good Jobs 3.0 at Goodwill Industries of Houston, Ms. Sonya Scott King, Interim Program Director of the Veterans Academy at the Houston Community College, and Mr. Nick Bassitt, Manager of Veteran Services of Goodwill Industries of Houston. Thank you all so very much for joining us today. So delighted you're here, and I have to tell you, as I share with the viewing audience, we have two veterans who are here today, U.S. Marines, U.S. Army, and the wife of a veteran as well from the U.S. Army. So thank you for your service. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So Goodwill Industries of Houston, very important topic today, primarily because a lot of people know of Goodwill Houston as a donation center, and so we want to talk about that. But Mr. Bassitt, what I'd like for you to do is to tell us about the services you provide.
Sure. Absolutely, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention, you know, we do have the stores. We have 62 stores across Greater Houston. With those stores, the revenue that your donations generate goes towards our mission. Our mission is to change lives through the power of work. Whether that's employing people at the stores, each store has about 25 employees, or helping other folks find jobs in the Greater Houston area. We have several programs. We have several job connections. That represents our primary mission side on workforce development. So we have 4 primary job connections and then some satellite offices as well. My programs are veterans programs specifically, exclusively. We have a veterans job connection that's in just 2 blocks away from here on San Jacinto and Elgin, where we serve only veterans and their spouses and family members as well. So just general overview of those programs. We'll get into the weeds, I guess, a little bit. But we do have 4 or 5 programs that are serving veterans specifically.
So that's a great overview. And of course, making reference to the donations that you get, you're able to turn that over into revenue that you use to support the veterans. I think that's really very good. And so with the 3.0, that Navigator, what does that role do in connection with the services that are provided?
So at the San Jacinto Job Connection Center, Veterans Job Connection Center, my program is called the Operation Good Jobs 3.0, and 3.0 meaning this is its 3rd iteration, so it's been successful. And so our target demographic is veterans of OIF, Operation Iraqi Freedom, or OEF, Operation Enduring Freedom. Those veterans, and typically those veterans have gotten out after September, after the post 9/11. So they're post 9/11, and female women spouses of Army veterans, of military spouses, and their dependents. So if they are dependent of someone who served in the military and they have a DD-214, we are able to service them.
And what's the DD-2?
DD-214 is a form, exit form that we use. It's a discharge paperwork. Absolutely,
see.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Right. And so that gives us an idea, or lets us know when you entered, when you exited the military, and your status or the character of your discharge.
Very, very interesting. So with you, Mr. Bassitt, you indicated that your role with Goodwill Houston began shortly after you exited the Marine Corps.
Correct.
So tell us about that.
I was in my transition. I moved to Houston. My wife got a great job here while I was still in Afghanistan, actually. I knew that was happening. That she didn't just go and move to Houston while I was deployed or anything like that. But anyway, so she was already in Houston when I was getting out of the Marine Corps. Came here in November 2014 when the oil prices plummeted, so there was hiring freeze across the board. But I came here thinking I was going to get into energy. That didn't happen, and spread my aperture and looked at other positions out there, and I just got hit up with this great opportunity at Goodwill Houston. Steve Loughborough, was grateful for him to taking a chance on a veteran that just got out. And that's great when employers are able to do that and want to do that. just take a chance on a veteran, even though they don't have the specific work experience maybe or whatever the case is. So, thanks to him and Alma, my other boss.
That's impressive. And with you, Ms. King,
Yes.
being the wife of a veteran,
Yes.
did you know about these services early on?
Well, actually, no. I became aware of the services after becoming employed at ACC, working in the Veteran Affairs Department, because my husband, of a veteran, he had no idea of any of the services as he was being separated at discharge. So it was very helpful for me to enlighten myself and brought my knowledge with it so I can pass it on to him and other family members and other friends. And so we are now aware of all the resources and services that are out there, and we just want to share all the information to the veterans that are in need.
Well, this is really good. Did you know about Goodwill Houston Industries before you separated from the military?
Well, Dr. Fisher, I've heard about Goodwill because my father, when I was a kid, we were growing up in San Bernardino, California. He worked for Goodwill.
Oh, wow.
Really?
He worked for Goodwill in one of the huge retail stores in downtown San Bernardino. So I knew of Goodwill. I just didn't know the extent of Goodwill's reach and all of it, Goodwill's abilities to make people's lives better or changing people's lives. So, no, I did not know about this part.
So this is going to be helpful for our viewers as well,
Correct.
who are not
Yes.
familiar with all of the great
Yes.
services that Goodwill
Yes.
Houston provides, that they can now find out and they can contact you. So tell us about how you help individuals.
Sure, absolutely. Our programs are primarily employment related. We specialize in homeless veterans or veterans at risk of being homeless, transitioning veterans as in Jarios' program, and women veterans and formerly incarcerated veterans. So those a lot of specialties. And we can help any veteran. That's unique to, not necessarily unique, but it's nice to have that capability. We can help anyone that walks through the door that has proof of being a veteran, as long as they're looking for a job.
So is there a problem with employment opportunities for formerly incarcerated veterans?
Yes, there definitely is. They might have skills, but their background prohibits them from
Yes.
working in that industry anymore. So
Correct.
sometimes you have to start at the bottom again and work up the way. We can help with credentialing and skills, getting them certain
That's where
jobs.
Houston Community College comes in for education.
Right, exactly. We can help them out with
Trades.
referring to HCC, Houston Community Colleges, or other colleges, or other training vendors to help them get some skills so they can be employed in a different industry.
So you provide the training opportunities in addition to HEC, is that correct?
Well, we partner with different vendors throughout the community. For instance, HCC, and they have certain programs or education seminars or courses that can be provided to the veterans that will make them more marketable to the workforce and employers. So we try and use that as often as we can.
Well, that's very good.
And with ACC, we have the Veterans Academy is just part of our Veterans Affairs Department, where we host grants that assist our veterans in need of finances for the trades or the certificates or the degree plans that they would like to pursue if they do not have any educational benefits awarded by the VA once they separate. And so we also assist with VA benefits as well. So when a veteran is discharged and they would like to pursue their education and they stop by Goodwill or anyone, they contact us and we step in and we basically take their hand and we walk them step by step in lieu of the process to get them started on their educational goal.
And that's very important.
Yes.
That to give that comfort level to the veterans that you're there, you're caring, and you're willing to walk them through the process. Well, this is really very, very good. So I want to know about the companies that perhaps will hire the formerly incarcerated veterans so that there is hope provided for them as well. And maybe that's something that, we don't have a long list of, but we'll talk about that. And we're also going to talk about the support of youth and additional support of veterans when we return. But we're going to take a break, and we ask you to please stay with us. We'll be right back.
HCC. So many reasons, so little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
HCC's online college is officially open. This not only means online classes, but also online degrees and certificates. You can now credential up anytime, anywhere. Join the fast-growing number of students getting their full college education from anywhere they use a laptop. HCC currently offers 32 fully online degrees and will offer 71 next year. You no longer have to find a way or time to get to college. HCC brings college to you.
Welcome back to Credential Up Houston. Today we're talking about Goodwill Industries of Houston in collaboration with the Houston Community College and other supporting organizations throughout the city of Houston. And so we're talking to Mr. Jarios, Courtney, Ms. Sonya Scott King, and Mr. Nick Bassitt. And we're so delighted that you're here. And we want to talk about youth programs initially and how we now can get the youth to take advantage of the services that Goodwill Houston provides, but also the companies that will hire the formerly incarcerated veterans so that they can have hope as well.
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Bassitt?
So I can talk briefly about our youth programs at Goodwill Houston. We have a few different programs. They're primarily located in our Meyer Lane location off of Braeswood. We have funding through Department of Labor as well as Goodwill International that helps fund those programs, as well as the revenue from the stores, of course. So they serve youth from 18 to 24 that have records, some sort of record on them in their past, and then help them, train them. We have pretty good partnership going on where we train with NCCR credentialing and safety attendants, and getting them into the construction industry basically. Other things that we can do with them, we had 2 career pathways as well. One's in apartment maintenance, where it's a 10-week program. So if the youth is interested in that, and they don't, some apartment complexes can do a case-by-case, kind of thing with the background. And then we have an IT career pathway as well.
So what is NCCR?
I never remember.
But what does it do? Not necessarily the...
Gives them the credential.
It's a credentialing.
Industry recognized credentialing and training.
Okay, very good. Yeah. Excellent. And so I heard Ms. King say, I've donated to Goodwill.
Yes, yes, several times.
So you provide that support for...
Yes, correct. And we also provide the support for the youth as well, because we reach out to the veterans to make sure to see if they have any benefits, unused benefits, that they would like to pass on to their dependents, which they also can go to school and use and enhance their trade or their skill set.
That's good. So what about companies in general that hire incarcerated or formerly incarcerated veterans?
Because I work at the front lines with a lot of these veterans that come in, some of them that have been previously incarcerated, that presents a barrier. And it depends on what the crime is, how long it's been since the conviction, where it can present barriers to employment or places to live. So we call around to our warehouses, our construction companies. Those places right there are key places that we can say, okay, we need to employ someone, we need to employ them quickly. This is what's going on. So we try and provide a buffer. The career navigators and program managers try and provide a buffer between the previously incarcerated, and I don't even refer to them as that, it's the veteran. The veteran and the potential employer. This is what's going on, and so what can we do to get this person employed as quickly as possible?
All right, so there are some major challenges also that are identified that veterans have.
Yes.
Correct.
I'm wondering, how do you help the veterans adjust back into civilian life? Do you assist with that at all?
We do. We do. We have a job readiness training workshop that we provide to any veteran that is enrolled into our programs.
Yes.
So we just kind of give them some soft skills or talk about soft skills in the workplace.
Sure.
Working in the military is a lot different than the civilian world, especially depending on what your specialty was. Some military folks are very comfortable working in an office because that's what they did in the military.
Yes.
Others maybe are more used to sleeping under stars and being out in the field for 30 days straight, being dirty. So you
And they
know,
like
and just
it.
being around, like for me, it was interesting because I was in the infantry, and at the time, infantry was male only. So I come into kind of a nonprofit world where, you know, 85% of people in well, I don't know if that's the exact percentage, but you know, it was mostly women. So figuring out how to work well with women was a challenge for me. Even, you know,
And that was going to be one of my questions as well, whether or not the females have similar challenges to the males re-entering.
Absolutely, they do. They have the same and more.
Yes.
And that's one thing that we recognize at Goodwill. We have a separate area for women veterans at a Veterans Center. So if they have some experiences from their military service, whether it was sexual trauma or harassment or whatever the case is, they can have kind of a safe area where they're not surrounded by the same kind of environment that might, you know, reignite
That's right.
those feelings.
That's right. So there were several areas that were identified that the veterans might have some difficulty in.
Sure.
One is unemployment. Many veterans are unable to find solid work once they return home. And the question is about the disabled veteran and also the person who doesn't have a high school diploma. You made reference to that. But about the disabled veteran, what do you do to assist the disabled veteran?
So we assist the veteran in, we can assist them in more than one way. First things first is to find out what their disposition is. We need to know if they are, so they're here, they're obviously, they might be unemployed or they're looking for better employment with more opportunities for growth. They may need housing. So, and they all, if they're disabled, we need to know, are you getting compensated? Have you filed a compensation claim with the Department of Veterans Affairs? If they have not, then we plug them into the pipeline to initiate the compensation claim. And it's so important because the compensation is what saves a lot of veterans between being on the street and homeless.
Yes, and we're going to talk further about that in the next segment as well. And as you made reference to that, being on the street, homelessness is also identified as a problem. Approximately 1/3 of all homeless Americans are veterans. Poor mental health, suicide and depression rates remain high, and the lack of education, which you're addressing. So, you know, my question as I was reading this article, I was wondering about the veterans who have the post-traumatic stress and PTSD. So how do you help with that as well? How do you help to direct them to various services?
I know with Houston Community College in the Veteran Affairs Department and Veterans Academy, we have our own rep, Miss Yvette Ned, which is a representation of Vet Success, which assists our disabled veterans if they need assistance with PTSD, they need assistance with housing, they need just assistance with even getting their VA benefits for disability. So she is hosted at our Central Resource Center, which is located from the Central Campus.
Okay, good information, and so it makes a great collaborative partnership,
Yes.
doesn't it? I think that is marvelous.
The thing of beauty.
It is. So we're going to take another break, and we'll be back in just a moment, but we're going to talk about critical federal guidelines and regulations that the veterans need to know about that will affect their compensation, et cetera. So we invite you to please stay with us. We'll be right back.
I dropped out of the 9th grade. It's been a decision that I've been fighting to rectify for over 20 years now. 9/11 happened and I decided to join the Marines. I figured maybe just some discipline would help, and I scored really high on the GED just to join the military, and when I took the military exam, I scored high on it also. And as I'm learning now in statistics class, all indications were suggesting that education be what I do. And I left the Marine Corps with armfuls of awards. I came home and it took a few years for me to understand that my value system had changed. I didn't value monetary gain. I really wanted to do what I loved, which was digital communications. I knew that I needed to go to school somewhere. Labor was not working. My back was telling me it's not gonna last too much longer. And I could only fall back on what I learned in the military. If you get some good instruction, you can't be stopped. And I chose HCC because it was in close proximity. And from what I saw, the programs were excellent, and I'm benefiting already, and I'm actually eager about what's around the corner here. To continue my trend of awards for academic performance that I received in the military, now at HCC I've been awarded a Dean's List certificate, and that's a big motivation for me to keep going, and it's letting me know that I'm on the right track. If the military can do that with me, then I can't wait to see where HCC is going to take me.
Welcome back to Credential Up Houston. We're talking today about Houston Goodwill Industries, as well as the collaboration with Houston Community College and other entities within our city to support individuals, families, and communities. And so joining us today are Mr. Courtney, Ms. King, and Mr. Bassitt. And one of the comments made earlier was about the stress levels that veterans have when they come into your offices for the first time. And that's normal, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So tell us, why is that normal? And tell us how you help to reduce that level of stress.
Well, because it's a culture shock. The military has provided a blanket of security. We know what we're going to do from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed. Every hour of the day has been already laid out for us. When we get out of the military and we transition into the civilian sector, we're at a culture shock.
Correct.
Some of us, we don't plan as well. Some of us don't plan at all. And if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And so sometimes when a member of the armed forces transitions out of the military, they're faced with all of these things that they did not foresee prior to getting out. So they come into the job connection centers, or they're looking for someone to help them out as far as education is concerned, and they don't know which way is up. They're stressed. A lot of them are mothers and fathers. They have children. And so when they come into the Job Connection Center, I tell them to lay everything out. Where are you living? How are you feeding yourself and your children? Are you employed? Do you have a disability compensation rating? I need to know all of these factors so that I can understand where you sit.
Very good. That's obviously, as you said, laying it all out.
Yes, ma'am.
For them to be very, very transparent with
Yes,
you
ma'am.
so that you can help. And so, Mr. Bassitt, what are you finding in terms of that support of them and helping to relieve that anxiety that they feel?
Well, it absolutely helps because they may have been to 10 other agencies, before they walk through our door, and they're already frustrated because for whatever reason they're not eligible for those services, or they got denied for whatever reason. So they come to us because they heard about us on HCC TV or whatever, or from the VA or online, and they come through the door, they see the sign, whatever it is. Come through the door, they're very frustrated and like, you do have to fill out some paperwork so we can properly assess you.
Yes.
And that's what Jarios was referencing to, and having a conversation, building that
Right.
rapport and making sure they feel comfortable with their employment career navigator. So it is something that we help provide, the navigation of resources.
Correct.
And it helps calm, not always.
Yes,
Not
yes.
always, but it does help.
Oh, I really like that navigation piece,
Right.
because that's
Yes.
what everyone needs,
Yep.
to know what the next steps are and who to go to and so
Sure.
forth.
Yeah.
This is good. And what about with the Veterans Academy?
The Veterans Academy and the Veteran Affairs, we also receive veterans. We have received veterans that have just been separated from the base and just come straight to us.
Yes.
And they have their luggage, their bag, and they want to pursue their education. And at this point, they have no idea where to start or what to do, what documentation they may need. They are now exiting out with a folder. And then this folder has all of their confidential information. They're like, I don't know what to do with it, and they just hand it to us.
Yeah.
And so at that point, we take the leadership to convey the information of the process, the understanding of their education benefits, and we actually walk them step by step of getting started, because their education benefits also is, I guess, how they are compensated, and they actually use that as support until they can find means of employment.
Yes.
And so it's very important that we handle that with importancy so that they can have that secure blanket, that they know that that income is actually coming in. They are going to school to better themselves, and they're going to end with a certificate or a degree.
So I can imagine that there would be a lot of uncertainty.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes.
And that creates additional stress.
Yes,
So
correct.
it really is important for them to know that there's someone they can
Yes.
call, there's a reliable
Structure.
entity that they can
Yes.
go to, and that they will be able to see that transition, that change
Yes.
in their lives if they are consistent and
Yes.
stay on path with focus. So now there are some regulations and some eligibility requirements as well.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of those. What are they?
So I will always refer any veteran or anyone that is interested in understanding what it is they need to do or documents to have to visit the VA Veterans Affairs website, www.va.gov. to get a list of documents they will need or regulations verbatim. But when a veteran comes in and they say, I'm disabled, but I don't have a compensation rating. I haven't been rated by the Department of Veterans Affairs. Well, then I get on my horn on the phone or I get on the keyboard and I refer them out to the different veterans organizations that will assess them, assess their condition. Of course, there's paperwork to fill out so that they can have privilege to see, they can see their medical documents, and then that veterans organization works with them, the veteran itself, and the VA to get them the proper rating they need.
Great.
And e-benefits is their best friend.
Yes.
Because all their documentation, if they've lost the documentation or they've never even request for it or they don't know where it is, they can go on e-benefits and receive all the information. Most
Yes.
veterans now are being discharged with a card, which is a card reader that has all the information on there so that they can have that documentation to be able to proceed
So
to get the
e-benefits,
resources.
electronic benefits. So what about those veterans who are not so savvy with the computer or who don't really feel the need to access it? So what do they do?
Well, that's interesting because we do have a lot of veterans that aren't, or they're older veterans or from different generations. So they don't even have any benefits account yet, or even if they do, there's nothing in there because it's all
Correct.
on paper file somewhere. But either way, we Goodwill does offer a digital skills, short digital skills literacy as well embedded within our job readiness
Yes.
training. So that kind of helps them understand what password they need to put into their Gmail account, how to create a Gmail account,
Yes.
Great.
how to use the G Suite, the Google Suite, how to convert your Word document to a PDF. So when you submit it to an employer, you want to submit it as a PDF. Those things. So the e-benefits piece is something we require them to log in.
Yes.
As
Correct.
part
So
of our.
it's embedded into our
Yes.
Yes.
orientation
Yes.
process.
Good.
Same with
And it's
work in
embedded for
Texas
us too as well.
and those items as well. And the e-benefits is a great benefit to have for the veterans, and that's one of the reasons we require it.
Okay, very good to know. And so within, let's say 15 seconds each, I would like for you to tell us what you would like to leave with the veterans who are viewing this program. So let's start with you, Ms. Courtney.
Dr. Fisher, so I would like to let the veterans know that there is hope out there. Once you exit the service, you are with support. You are not out of options. You are not out alone. There are a plethora of military and veteran organizations that can help and that will assist.
Very good. Yes?
I would like to leave for the veterans that Houston Community College is here to support them with their educational journey, their career journey, and any other resources that they may need. Just please reach out to us anyway.
Okay.
And then I would just real quick want to provide some resources. Our website, www.goodwillhouston.org. You can find more information on the Goodwill Houston programs. And then combinearms.us is a great collaboration for all the veterans in Houston.
Excellent. Well, this has been a very productive conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
Very helpful. Thank you all so very much.
you.
We
Thank
really
you.
do
Thank you for
appreciate it.
having us.
And we invite you to please make the contacts as was indicated and always remember to credential up. So we thank you for joining us and we'll see you next time.